Hey there, welcome back to the channel. We have many tales of relationship debacles today. A few of these arguably self-inflicted, and the eventual breakups very much deserved. Though some seem redeemable, so I'll leave that up to you. For now though, we'll begin with our first tale. My boyfriend is a passport bro, and I had no idea. I've been with my boyfriend for 8 months. Things have been going really well between us up until a few days ago. A little backstory. I'm from a Central European country, and he's American. He said he settled in my country because of work opportunities. We met in a coffee house where I work as a barista. We clicked instantly and started going out a few weeks later. Everything was so good, and we had so much fun. Ugh. Already knowing he's a passport bro makes the vision of him staring at her as she's doing her work at the cafe just all that creepier. Like, oh yeah, babe, you make that coffee so submissive-like. Fast forward to last week. He asked me to help him with some documentation. I was happy to, as I know my language is hard to understand and even translate sometimes. When I was searching online on his laptop, I stumbled upon some weird websites. They were all about passport bros. I didn't even know what the hell that was at first, and basically had tips on how to settle in foreign countries, where to find a traditional bride, which country has the most beautiful women, etc. I was shocked and so confused. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I wanted to gain some clarity and checked his profile on one of these websites. He had full-on conversations about Eastern European countries, European women, how easy or hard it is to take them out on dates, if it would be better to settle down in Asia instead, and so on. He decided to settle down in my country. I feel dehumanized and like he fetish-sized me and the women from my country. Also, our whole relationship has been built on a lie because he told me he settled down here because he got a job offer. After I found all this stuff, I quickly took pictures as proof and then made up an excuse to go home. He tried to reach out a few times, but I told him I don't feel well, so I can't meet up right now. I can't even look at him. I feel disgusted. Am I overreacting? How can I confront him about all this? To any lonely man who lacks intimacy or love in his life, the idea to be fetishized, adored for your mere existence, they'd consider this person absurd for even questioning this man's clear love and appreciation for you being you. I mean, hey, who wouldn't like that sort of compliment on yourself? But if anyone is educated on the term of passport bros and the ideologies they follow, it's very commonly not really that aspect as much as it is someone they feel they have stronger power over. Someone they can treat a certain way and feel like they will more likely get away with it because, they are rich, successful, powerful American man, and I am poor, dainty, third world woman. He is a god to me in my less fortunate lifestyle. But any basic analytical skills will have you know that these women who go after these sort of passport bros are purely using them as well for, eventual opportunities to go live in America if they so wish to, or any Western country. So who's playing who more here exactly? But okay, yeah, OP clearly isn't someone who is just trying to find a free American man to suck up to until they're married and then, show her true actual independence and autonomy. Many people coming across the thread or the subreddit of passport bros for the first time and being absolutely mortified. Some of the time were suggesting to just text him those pictures you took, make it pretty clear that you won't be his docile European wife, and let him know that one thing European women and American women have in common is none of them are going to settle for a weirdo. It's so interesting that these kind of guys think this about, other countries of women too. Do they not realize how many European women and their families went through actual world wars compared to America? I feel like if anything, European women are considered far more resilient and scary. I've had childhood friends who were Italian. I've seen what their mothers are capable of. But okay, 2 days ago, that was the original post. Now, we come to the update. First things first, and with the post blowing up more than OP thought it would, they decided to clarify a few things with a bullet point time. Here we go. So when I read his comments on those websites, it felt dehumanizing and fetishizing. They were making stereotypes about us that are either untrue or outdated. We have all kinds of women here, just like in other countries. Some like to party, some don't. Some are looking for flings, some want long-term relationships, some want to stay single and childless forever. It's not true that most of us are submissive women who obey our husbands. Try telling that to a Central European woman face to face and see her reaction. 2, he told me he only came for work and it's funny we met because he wasn't planning on getting into a relationship. Judging by his comments online, it was a lie, and he came here to look for a traditional wife. 3, surprisingly, he never actually told me that he wanted a traditional relationship. He doesn't do anything that's considered traditional in my culture either. I work hard for my own money and go to university, so I don't want to be a housewife or a stay-at-home mom in the near future. We've talked about this, so he knows. What worries me is that someone online told him to start a relationship and then try to make it more traditional over time. I don't know if that's what he's trying to do or if he's changed his mind. I have no way of knowing and don't want to take the risk of wasting my time. 4, he works at an IT company, allegedly. I've never been to his workplace, so I have no proof of this. It might be my naivety to think it's true, but we have a lot of companies like this in my country, and a lot of foreigners work in IT in the capital city. So who knows? 5, traditional woman and traditional relationship can mean different things in different countries, depending on cultural and social norms. He wants a traditional woman by American standards, but that's not the same as what we consider a traditional woman here. It's pretty clear from his online comments that he has no clue about this difference. It's offensive because it shows he knows nothing about our culture and history and is just relying on stereotypes and outdated assumptions. 6, now some people in the comments of the old post try to justify his desire for a traditional wife, stating that European women should be happy and understanding about this. But what does he bring to the table? Why should a traditional Central European woman choose him instead of a man from our country who speaks our language, knows our customs and traditions, grew up in our culture, and respects us according to our standards? To imply that I should be grateful that an American man chose me like I'm some product is offensive and makes me look like I'm inferior. Very weird logic. Sorry. Yeah, that's where the Passport Bros God complex comes in. Like those kind of men who think they can save a woman from the strip club because they're just so enamored by how good she is at dancing. They're like, I want her just for myself. I will save her. Stop stripping, my love. Only do it for me. Yes, this is exactly what you want too, isn't it? 7, some people commented that my post was rage bait or fake because of my English or because Central European women don't think like this. This just proves the ignorance some people have about my country. Women here have careers, open their own businesses, or learn to become doctors, lawyers, beauticians, chefs, etc., etc. Most of us, in younger generations, have modern mentalities, except for some villagers. But villagers probably won't go for an American man who doesn't know a thing about our country. Most of us learn a second language since we are 6 to 8 years old. My niece literally goes to a bilingual kindergarten and learns 2 languages at the age of 3, so I'm not sure why it's so far-fetched that people here speak English well. We are not some idiots who have no idea about the modern world. Most of us speak at least 1 or 2 foreign languages, usually English and German, sometimes Spanish, except the boomers and Gen X, they had to learn Russian back in the day. The old fear of potential war, no doubt. It's kind of like over here in Australia. Fun fact, if you grew up in the north of Australia, 90% of the schools, the only second language you were allowed to learn at the time was Indonesian. You know, the little group of islands just above us? Because for many years in the early 2000s and late 90s, they were afraid that Indonesia was going to invade us. Now, to be fair, when you compare the manpower, I mean, they're slightly got a bit more. Group of islands is slightly tougher than all of Australia. They also seemingly have far more land forces, vehicles and stuff than we do. So there you go. Fun random fact of the day. Are we still scared of them to this day? Technically no. We're kind of mutually together as teams preoccupied by China in the Pacific at the moment. Yay! Cold Wars! But we digress. Also, to the person who said that Central European countries are basically the same as England or France, it sounds like someone failed their history class. Please don't be ignorant and educate yourself. 8, I told my boyfriend, ex now, that I'd like to break up with him. We had a small conversation on the phone, and I told him I wasn't in a position to continue the relationship for personal reasons. At first, he was confused and tried to convince me not to break up, but then he accepted it. And to the comments that suggested it, and thank you for the idea, by the way, I posted my story in local groups so other women can be aware of this whole passport bro thing and hopefully not fall victim to men like this. As expected, they found the whole thing disgusting and were grateful for the heads up. We are not here for others' enjoyment and to fulfill some submissive wife fantasy of something who looks at us as stereotypes rather than individuals with varying personalities and preferences. Now note, I'm not against foreigners or mixed couples. My brother-in-law is Arab, speaks my language and knows my culture. We also speak some Arabic and know and respect his culture too. He didn't come here as some sort of Smex tourist, but as an actual worker who wanted to change his life. I can't speak for everyone in my country, but most people won't tolerate this behavior and will judge passport bros negatively. It's hypocritical to want a traditional wife, but constantly move from country to country and woman to woman. That behavior definitely isn't considered traditional, at least not in my country. If you want casual relationships, that's fine, because there are women here who want the same, but just be honest about it. So a happy ending our OP experiences here. And a happy reminder onto the irony of people seeking the traditional in a relationship, but also applying only their version of tradition and not the tradition of the country they're actually going to. I mean, look, okay, you're allowed to seek those traditional roles in a relationship. When it becomes an issue is when you try to enforce it onto others who clearly aren't into it themselves. Women are allowed to desire men who fill that traditional provider role, and men are allowed to desire women who fill the traditional submissive housewife role. But we'll now move over to someone's more questionable reason to dump their partner. My boyfriend doesn't have riz like he used to, and I now find him cringe. How should I tell him to go out more? I'm 22 female, and my boyfriend, 21, have been together for years now, and been friends since middle school. For context, before we got together, he was very friendly, good with socializing, famous, overall very charismatic in high school. He continued this throughout our friendship and even our relationship. But for the past years, I got busy with college while he got busy with work and his schooling for being a licensed practical nurse. Again, licensed practical nurse. That is what this man is trying to be. I'm pretty laid back when it comes to college, where I do the bare minimum, pass my class, and just hang out with my friends. Meanwhile, my boyfriend took his schooling very seriously. He studied rigorously on top of working full-time to pay for his bills. He didn't have free time because of this, and when he does, he spends it with me, which I'm very thankful for. The thing is, now that he finished his schooling, he doesn't have friends. I used to urge him to spend time with his classmates whenever he got invited somewhere, but he never did. The only person that he talks to is me and his family. He doesn't even like to talk or form friendships with his coworkers since they're older and mostly women. I took him to spend time with my different friend groups where he was acting awkward and wasn't really inserting himself into the circle. And that's understandable since they are new faces and anyone can be uncomfortable. But back then, socializing would be easy for him. After a couple of times of hanging out with my friends, he acted the same and even got upset that he felt left out. We would cater to him though, where my friends would ask him questions, opinions, and even joke with him. But he just can't insert himself. And when he does, he only talks about his work or say cringy remarks and jokes. And I realized I would take him to my friends, but he never really invited me to his, because I guess he doesn't really have any. He is a very sweet person, and I love him dearly, but low-key it's giving me the ick, since I fell in love with the person who's very charismatic and outgoing, not this. I won't break up with him for sure. I just want to ask him to explore more, make new friends, and give his spark back. Boyfriend, you're not entertaining me anymore. You're showing, flaws. Ugh. Look, I just don't know how to tell it to him without hurting his feelings and not to sound offensive, especially I'm not really good with confrontation. Oh, and edit, I was informed that ick was not the right word I was looking for. I would say I was turned off, and his jokes are more unfunny rather than cringe.
Ah, well... That's even better then. That's totally fine.
It's not that you were completely unattracted to him now. It's just that he doesn't attract you anymore. Oh, good. So unsurprisingly, getting the most crispiest of grilled in the comments. So you've coasted to get the bare minimum and will probably continue this into your adult working life, yet you're complaining he has sacrificed a social life to ensure both you and him are looked after financially with a good job? You sound entitled and immature. Wow, imagine feeling cringed out by your partner of a few years because he grew the hell up and took his education and career seriously and you didn't. And so here's where we get things to become a bit more clearer, but also a bit more suspicious about the OP. So they are very responsive, which is great. That means they're able to actually confront and reflect on all the comments and criticisms they're being given. Many people pointing out that you are clearly someone who is just taking life by the easy ropes and sort of judging your partner for, actually taking things seriously with a career. So they clarified in one comment that I think does change our perspective on the boyfriend here. So she accentuates that, okay, look, it's not an ick she's feeling. I just didn't like that how he thinks he's better than anyone despite not having friends and is now less charismatic. Okay, so this begs us to kind of question, is he just suddenly more awkward and shy, or is he someone who, because he's tried so hard in his career now, he does think he's better than everyone, and so this lack of charisma comes from a gain of arrogance? One person asks, did he say he thinks he's better than people, or are you projecting that onto him? Oh, he says it. He's known for being arrogant and prideful. He still has the same personality as before towards me, but not anyone else. But he does show his arrogance every now and then. Oh, okay, so the issue isn't that he is a homebody, it's that he's arrogant and looks down on people. Is that a fair assessment? Hope he goes on to say that it's more of a mixture of both. So where does that leave you then in this situation? You think she is kind of justified then to say that she's sort of upset he's not as charismatic anymore, because it's not so much that he's just awkward and shy, it's that he thinks he's better than everyone else when they hang out with people, and he doesn't want to hang out with them not because he's embarrassed to, it's because he thinks they're not worth his time. After all, yeah, I personally would be turned off by someone who looks down on others. It's an ugly personality trait. But here's where people get a bit suspicious. I don't think he actually is, though. This is starting to feel like OP is claiming he's arrogant now because other commenters are pointing out that she's a half-assed, judgmental slacker, and that perhaps her boyfriend is seeing that too. So now he's arrogant, and he knows it, and everyone else does too. Yeah. So I leave that up to you. What do you think? You think he's actually an arrogant prick, or she's just trying to find an excuse to eventually leave him because he's just not a cool, charismatic guy anymore? How dare he care about money and finances now as an adult? Ill. Over to someone definitely deserving to be broken up with. I cheated on those stupid Reddit smexting pages, and she found out. Obviously a story with a turn resolution, but nonetheless entertaining to see someone suffer for justifiable reasons. We've been together for over a year and a half. She's perfect. She's kind, had a good drive, the prettiest and attractive woman I know. A couple of months ago, she saw a bill of me going on cam girls' websites. I had started going there when I was single, and unfortunately, I couldn't resist going there, even in a relationship. When she found out, she almost walked out the door after confronting me. I apologized and promised to never go again. I, in fact, never went again. Took her some time to gain her trust back, but I went back to normal after a couple of weeks. Now, almost a year after, here I am. I'm on a trip to Japan for 2 weeks, visiting. I don't know if it's because of the distance or if I'm just a sick freak, but I had the urge to smext with someone else. I have been in a long-distance relationship for a year in the past, so maybe I missed the thrill of smexting with someone far? Whatever the case, for 2 days straight, sleeping only 2 hours a day, I stayed in my room and smexted. Every new conversation got trashier and trashier. After one point, there was that girl who had a cheating fetish and asked me for nudes of my girlfriend. Of course, monkey brain myself sent a couple, hiding her face and name. I liked it. Probably did it 15 more times after that. It is a criminal offense, and yes, I should be in jail. She saw everything on my iPad at home. Confronted me this morning. She has a trauma about cheating. All of them cheated. One of them shared her nudes on high school. She is angry and will probably leave me. We live together with 2 cats. A nice life, and it was going well. Out of selfishness and sick, perverted thoughts, I ruined the trust she had in me, and probably in men. I love her. I'll go consult to understand what's wrong with me and why did I need more. Any tips on how to recover would be appreciated. I don't want her to leave, and I want to work on myself and prove her I can change. Hopefully it's not too late. She's the woman I wanted to marry and die with. If you all think I should let her go, tell me. You should let her go. My God, I know they're being pretty mature and reflective about definitely needing to see help, but yeah, do that. But she doesn't deserve to stick around for it, you know? Already had your chance to avoid ever doing this the moment she caught you with the cam stuff. This is... You're a lost cause until you get help, man. Let's keep to the theme of men ruining their relationships, though. Can I rebuild trust with my girlfriend after gaming addiction ruined our apartment plans? I'm a 31-year-old male facing a crisis I never expected. My girlfriend and I had planned to move to a better apartment, but I jeopardized our dream by spending our savings on Star Citizen, a video game. This incident has made me realize that I might be battling a gaming addiction and impulsive spending. Despite her initial forgiveness and a clear agreement to not buy more in-game items for 6 months while replenishing our savings, I failed to stick to our plan. This breach of trust led to a major argument, especially after I refused her suggestion to sell my gaming account. Consequently, she's left, and we haven't spoken since. But this situation has hit me hard, making me see how my gaming habit has turned from a hobby into a destructive force in my life. I'm struggling with the realization that my actions have not only damaged my relationship, but are also affecting my financial stability, as my credit score is now in jeopardy. But the most painful part is recognizing how much I love her and the extent of the turmoil I'm in. I'm earnestly seeking advice on how to address my addiction and possibly salvage my relationship. Well, depending on the gaming habits, it's not even just gaming addiction, it'll be gambling too. But oh boy, are you ready to find out just how much money this person has gone into gaming? Well, starting from as far as 2 years back, 90% of the posts are just around Star Citizen, which, look, that's cool. You can, be an active member of a community of a game you like. Until they start posting 2 months ago in that same subreddit, credit advice? Oh no. If only there were posts from 7 months ago that were like a red flag for this person to realize that maybe they're spending a little bit too much money on a video game. But around the same time as asking about credit advice, they proudly show off their fleet to everyone. Star Citizen, for those who don't know, is just a game about space. That's about as much as I know. Wow, look at all these toy ships, spaceships, wow. But just to give you some perspective as to the reactions to people seeing this spreadsheet of someone's personal ships in this game. Bro, please seek professional help. I saw your other posts. Bleeding yourself dry over a video game isn't healthy. Please take care of yourself. I mean, it's gotta be pretty concerning if that's the reaction. Not, wow, cool, I wish I could afford that, but you need help. Someone in the first post actually calculated it all for us. So dude, I'm looking at your post history. You're in full-on denial about your spending and gaming addiction. You 1000% have an issue after you spent $15,000 in 6 months on optional purchases for a mobile game. There is no way you can salvage the relationship without first addressing this issue. And even then, the chances are low that she'll take you back. If anything, you need to do this for yourself and your future. Do you want to have bad credit or be alone or be in debt to a game 10 years from now? Like, you need to go cold turkey with this game, sell your account and ships, lock yourself out of your account, and go to therapy. Oh, but we're not done with the crazy yet. So another person comments summarizing from what they've read in some of the posts before many of them were deleted, pointing out that, okay, so you stole her money to buy pixel spaceships. She forgave you as long as you stopped doing that, but you kept buying pixel spaceships. You then refused to fix the problem by selling off your pixel spaceships. She then realizes you love pixel spaceships more than her and left for good. But others point out, the worst part is, with Star Citizen, you can almost guarantee that a bunch of what they purchased isn't even a pixel spaceship yet. It's a concept picture of a pixel spaceship. Star Citizen fans are absolutely cult-like about that game. So if that doesn't make sense to you, this bro has basically bought what is more worthless than an NFT. He hasn't just pre-ordered a game. He's bought a game from the moment someone's just drawn a picture and said, I'm gonna do something with that in the future. I mean, damn. Look, I might be speaking completely ignorantly. There might be far more details about this that someone who's actually experienced with Star Citizen and its own nuances could enlighten us in the comments. But for now, that is my assumption on all this, and that is crazy. Something that's also kinda crazy, my wife got pregnant by a sperm donor against my wishes. Do I raise the child? My wife and I have been married for 8 years. We dated for a few years before getting married. We were in school for the first few years of our marriage. After finishing school, we tried to have kids, but it didn't work. My sperm was tested and my motility and morphology were on the low end. We tried IUI 3 times, and then we tried a round of IVF, which didn't work. She was upset and worried about running out of time to have a child. My wife told me she wanted to use a donor. I said I was opposed to it. She went ahead with it anyway, and on the second try, it worked. Now, I feel conflicted. I don't want to raise a kid that isn't mine. I wanted to keep trying to have a kid together. Should I stay with her and raise the child? Is it fair for me to ask her to get an abortion and continue to try to have the kids with me? Chestnuts roasting on an open fire that this topic will bring. Well, from my totally biased point of view, I'm all in support of this man's not wanting to raise this child that he didn't agree to. Like, well done, dude. You found the secret trick to being able to get away from this, not actually getting her pregnant through your own actions yourself. But I suppose you could argue he has had an intention to want to raise a child, just because she knew there was only one foolproof method of actually getting this to happen that sadly didn't involve him. But end of the day, he's still gonna be around for this child to be its father. Does it really need to be his bloodline? As far as I'm aware, royalty doesn't use Reddit that much, you know? There's not exactly much of a famous lineage that he's bound to continue by all means necessary. But at the same time, is this an argument you could sort of reverse the genders on to see what the perspectives would be? Like if you had a husband or boyfriend who decided to donate his sperm to get someone else pregnant to then, have them deliver a child for both of you, would you as the wife be okay with that? Arguably, probably a lot easier for you as the woman, because then you don't have to personally go through the 9 months of pregnancy hell. So look, there's definitely a lot of different points to take into consideration here. So I think there's one main thing to focus on. Is it fair for him to ask her to get an abortion about this? After all, he doesn't seem to be asking if it's okay for him to leave. And well, the comments aren't really giving him any good news. Well, if she went through all the trouble to get pregnant through a donor, I highly doubt she will agree to get an abortion. Yeah, it definitely sounds like someone who took the path of better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. Yeah, clearly she chose the baby over OP, and now he needs to realize she will still choose this baby over him. So yeah, no matter what the husband decides here, I think it's fair to agree with a lot of the comments. It's very unlikely she's gonna be, oh, okay, yeah, sure, all this effort I went to have a child, yeah, I'll just get rid of it. After all, I did go behind your back. So based on my behavioral history, this is totally something I'm willing to agree on. Anyway, friends, I leave your thoughts with that one and end the video here. Thank you as always for watching. Love your face. Drink some water, otherwise I'll punch you in the face. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.